Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. I am responding to Emma Jones 8590, who followed a link off of X, I'm assuming, to the video about how John Biskind got away with killing 2 patients because the medical board didn't think it was a really big deal when he almost killed the first one. I already did a video below about her rather flippant, legal abortion is still 14 times safer than childbirth, which is one of the most ill-informed statements anybody can make, because the way they gather information about abortion deaths is like putting a basket under an apple tree, counting the apples that fall in the basket, and claiming that that is all the apples that fell off the tree, while you totally ignore the ones that are laying on the ground around the basket. Okay, so but she went on with some more extremely unfounded assumptions. And banning legal abortions is going to increase the number of the much more dangerous illegal ones, or of those carried out legally where the mother isn't able to have a checkup afterward to see if things went as they should have. Some women have to travel great distances to terminate their pregnancies. No, not terminate their pregnancies. It is perfectly legal to have an emergency C-section or a scheduled C-section or induced labor. It's just not legal to kill the baby gratuitously. Can't just kill the baby because you want it dead. Terminate their pregnancies legally these days, but can't afford to stay around for days afterward to make sure there are no complications. Well, first of all, I thought abortion was safer than a shot of penicillin. You don't have to stick around for days to make sure you don't die from a shot of penicillin, so why would you need to stick around after an abortion? It's safer than Tylenol, safer than penicillin. Abortion is so safe, you should probably have an abortion instead of take a bath, because you're less likely to die from the abortion than you are to drown in your bathtub, if you listen to the abortion lobby. So why would she assume that a bad thing could happen if abortion is as safe as the abortion lobby tells you it is? So, really, first of all, she's assuming that legal abortions are by their very nature riskier than the legal ones. But I can name 3 men, 3 erstwhile criminal abortionists, Jesse Ketchum, Mylan Vooch, and Benjamin Munson, who I looked. Let me tell you, I could not find a single dead patient attributed to them in their criminal practice. And it wasn't that they were doing one occasionally for their own patients. They were known abortionists. Women were traveling to them. Okay? They were pretty brazen about their abortions. They were doing lots of them. Not a single dead patient could I find in their criminal practice. After legalization, they are taking the most brazen risks, and each went on to kill 2 patients. Now, why is it that the Legalization Fairy, somehow her magical safety dust just seemed to have backfired with these 3 guys? It made the legal abortions not as safe as the illegal abortions. That's not supposed to happen with a Legalization Fairy and her magic safety dust. But it did, didn't it? Because you take away the threat of prosecution if you screw up. You're not going to be as careful as if you think, man, if I screw up, I could go to prison. And then let's listen to the words of Mary Calderone, who was medical director of Planned Parenthood Federation in America. She hosted a conference on abortion in America in 1955. It was an international panel of people, including some criminal abortionists in the United States. They came together, and in 1960, Mary Calderone published, "The conference estimated that 90% of all illegal abortions are presently being done by physicians. Call them what you will, abortionists or anything else, they are still physicians, trained as such, and many of them are in good standing in their communities. They must do a pretty good job if the death rate is as low as it is. Abortion, whether therapeutic or illegal, is in the main no longer dangerous." Okay? And second, she refers to women not being able to have a checkup afterward. First of all, whose responsibility is that? Why is she making an excuse for the abortionists to not make arrangements for aftercare? Well, let's first of all go, why would they need aftercare? Abortion's safer than a Tylenol. It's safer than a shot of penicillin. Safer than having a wart removed, I guess. Safer than, taking a bath, because you might drown in your bathtub, but you can't die from an abortion. Why would she need aftercare? Well, at least you're recognizing that she needs aftercare, right? Why isn't he making arrangements for the aftercare? Why are they not in the pre-abortion counseling saying, okay, do you have a gynecologist you can go to if you're starting to show these symptoms? How far are you from an emergency room? Okay, can you have all these arrangements made? No. Why? Because they lose interest in the woman once the baby's dead. which is what John Biskind did. He lost interest in his patients once the baby was dead. Okay? Lisa Bardsley was showing signs of hemorrhaging when he's like, send her home, no problem. And, with Luann Heron, the second woman that died, she was in the recovery room showing signs of hemorrhage, and he just left. Just left her in the care of some medical assistants. The only care they provided was mopping up the blood as it pooled on the floor underneath her. There was a fully equipped hospital literally across the street, and they dragged their butts about calling an ambulance. Biskind didn't call an ambulance when she was hemorrhaging. His staff didn't call an ambulance, and this woman died. So this idea that, if she's close to home and she's safe to get aftercare, bull! Sharon Hamplin was hemorrhaging. Bruce Steer abandoned her, left her in the care of untrained staff. She was too weak to walk. They plunked her in a wheelchair and shoved her out the door to bleed to death on the way home. Where do people get these delusions that these abortions, a magic fairy does it, some legalization fairy sprinkles her dust? That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And the point about women having to travel, that goes back to my first 2 points. First of all, shouldn't he be making arrangements for her aftercare if he's doing some kind of procedure on her? And second of all, you're assuming that if she's close to home or in the clinic and she shows signs of complications, they're actually going to treat her. I've lost track of the number of women who stopped breathing or just bled out in the recovery room. One of Jesse Ketchum's, she bled to death in the recovery room. There was a hospital right across the street, didn't send her there. It's when her boyfriend came back to check on her and she's completely unresponsive. They take her across the street to the hospital and sorry, she's dead. Where was the legalization fairy, Emma Jones? And all of this just completely ignores the fact that she can forego the abortion and actually have her baby. The abortion is not going to fix her bad relationship. The abortion is not going to get her a job. The abortion is not going to fix her homelessness. You know who will? A pregnancy resource center. They'll help her with that. They'll help her finish college. They'll help her find a better job. They'll help her significant other find a better job. They'll help her get away from this abusive relationship. They'll help her get her financial situation straightened out. But the abortion lobby doesn't want the women going to those places, because if the women go to those places, it's going to address the reasons that they're coming in for an abortion in the first place. And not only do you lose that sale, you lose the subsequent sales, because 50% of abortions are repeat abortions. You want her coming in for that first one, so she's going to come back for the second, third, fourth, fifth. The idea that legalization is some kind of blessing on women, that the legalization fairy came and sprinkled her magic dust, that's a lie. And you shouldn't believe it. And if you had listened to the whole video, Emma Jones, you would have noticed that these women got some pretty pathetic care, and it was mighty cavalier of you to be willing to just brush them off as some statistical anomaly.